All right, welcome back. It's been a little while since we've visited old Wurzel Gummidge, the sovereign citizen, in his crap shack. So I figured let's get down to Texas and what's up. But first, for those of you who are here, I'm Joe. I'm a lawyer licensed to practice in the state of Utah. So I haven't watched this video yet. This is a fresh reaction, but we have seen quite a few videos of this guy before. He's one of the dumbest sovereign citizens. And today's video is titled, I need to raise $1,500 to get my truck out of impound. If not, they win. So we've seen his videos of his traffic stops. I think I've only covered one of them here. Van Balian has done the rest of them on his channel. So yeah, he hasn't learned. I don't, like I said, I haven't watched it yet, so I don't know if the 1,500 number is the amount in fines he has to pay plus, getting it registered and insured and everything to get it out of impound, or if that's just the impound fee that has stacked up on him because it's been 2 months since it was towed, and that daily fee, it adds up. So if you had just followed the rules to begin with, your truck wouldn't have been towed. But if you had complied the day after it was towed, you could have knocked $1,000 off of that. I don't know. I mean, there is the tow fee as well, so there's that. But let's jump into it.
Well, I need help from the rest of the auditors that say they're there to help people to get out of the mess they're in with the police when their vehicle's impounded and they can't get it out. I have the right to freedom of movement by any means necessary. There's nothing that says I don't have the right to freedom of movement in a motor vehicle.
Yes, there is. You're in Texas. The Texas Transportation Code applies in Texas. There's literally nothing that says you have the right to movement by any means necessary. Nothing at all. I mean, sovereign citizens say, I have the right to travel. Where? Show me in the Constitution where it says you have the right to travel, especially by any means necessary. It's not there. It's not there. There's the privileges and immunities clause, and there's the privilege or immunities clause, which have been interpreted to be the right to travel between states, not the right to drive. The 10th Amendment exists.
Only from freedom of travel, and freedom to drive, operate a motor vehicle under the UCC laws of the.
Under the UCC laws, the UCC. Well, hang on. Let's let him finish that first. Let's back up just a couple seconds, because
motor vehicle under the UCC laws of the U.S. Constitution.
The UCC laws of the United States Constitution. There's so many things wrong with that statement. So many things. First off, the UCC is the Uniform Commercial Code. That has absolutely nothing to do with travel. Absolutely nothing at all. It has to do with commercial transactions. It has to do with secured transactions. That's Article 9. That's like having a security interest in something. And there's Article 2, which is basically contract law for commercial transactions. There's, you know, there's 9 articles in the UCC, and it's commerce. But the thing is it passed under the U.S. Constitution? Well, kind of. The 10th Amendment, because he says the UCC laws of the United States Constitution. It's state law. It's state statutes. It's not federal law. It has never been federal law. It never will be federal law. It's state law. Do you know what's also state laws? The Texas Transportation Code. Same level of law as the UCC, and just as applicable. Well, even more so, because
or not the U.S. Constitution, the UCC codes. They're not even in the Constitution. They were created for control. You know, all they're doing is overreaching their authority according to what the UCC codes say. Battery running down. So
once again, he corrected himself. It isn't under the U.S. Constitution, other than the 10th Amendment, which grants the states the rights to pass laws that aren't in conflict with federal law. But it's not this overarching grand umbrella that covers everything. It's just commerce. It's just commerce. It's commercial transactions. Nothing more, nothing less. It's unless you're doing a contract to buy your truck, it doesn't apply. And frankly, like there's the UCC 1 statement that basically it indicates collateral, and it's hard to explain. But the thing is, even with your vehicles, they're not entirely done under the UCC, since they have the titles. You know, your vehicle title, that's like a different system. So it's even weird commercially. So the UCC isn't fully applicable to that even, but that's, yeah.
Oh, put it on charger. So, yeah, they enforce codes. They don't enforce the laws. They don't enforce the U.S. Constitution of law that they swore an oath to uphold.
Codes are.
They enforce codes, statutes. You know, traffic. There's traffic statutes. They're not laws.
Show me traffic common law then. You say statutes aren't laws. Only common law is law. Show me traffic common law. It doesn't. At least not the way he thinks it does. Because there is it's interpreting the statutes. And even more so, it's making sure the Constitution is being followed. So it's like, you know, you're pulled over, your taillight's out, so you get pulled over, and they search your car and find stuff. It's like, well, what law applicable to even pull you over? Yes. Good. Well, was that search legal? Yes or no? But that's generally the common law, the judicial opinions that apply when you're defending people in traffic law cases. But it's entirely statutory, as far as the regulations of the road. The like speed limits are not common law. The vehicle regulation, how could you ever have common law for that? You know, it's, well, the judges decide, well, that's insanity.
Look it up. They're traffic statutes. All you have to do is look that up and see for yourself. They're not laws. Uh, fourth, fourth, sixth, and eighth edition will tell you they're not laws.
Fourth, sixth, and eighth edition of what? Well, we know what. The Black's Law Dictionary. But do you know what isn't law? The Black's Law Dictionary. That's not law. It's who made Mr. Black king. So whatever Black's Law Dictionary says isn't automatically law. That's insane. But fourth, sixth, and eighth editions, what does the fifth edition say? What does the ninth edition, 10th? So you're just cherry picking out of a dictionary to decide what is or what isn't law. Why? Why? Because you don't like it? But once again, you're not forced to register your vehicle. It's just the government builds the roads. The government says, hey, we built these roads funded by taxpayers, and the condition for using it is registration of your vehicle. So you don't have to register a vehicle. It just means you can't drive it on public roads. Drive it all around. You know, you can drive in circles around your crap shack there as long as you stay on your property. And you'll never have to register to do that. It's just a condition for use of the public roads.
That they're statutes, they're codes of the Black's Laws Dictionary, Maxims of Law, Tort Law, all these other books. When you look up Maxims of Laws, books of Maxims of Law, they will tell you the laws and the way they work. Not all of them definitions. They just, books of definitions. They're books that tell you what the laws are, how we are to live in this country, which is under God.
So why would you look in a book of tort law for traffic law? They're two different things. Completely different things. Torts are not driving. You can commit a tort while driving, but they're different. And maxims of law, unless they've either been passed by a legislature or enacted in, become common law, judicially applied, maxims of law may as well just be an old folksy saying, and unless it's based on something.
In the U.S., which is the U.S. Constitution, is the laws created from the Word of God in the Bible. The first 8 were created to protect our rights from the government, and then the states. When the states were created later on, they used to be called colonies.
No. They were states before the Constitution was ratified. Depending on exactly when you say they became states instead of colonies, whether it's 1776, the signing of the Declaration of Independence, or I can't remember if it's 1781 or 1782, the Treaty of Paris, when the British officially signed the treaty ending the War of Independence and said, yeah, you're independent. Is that, somewhere I'd put either one of those as when they became states. but they were states. The Constitution was ratified in 1787, I believe. So roughly 6 years or 11 years, depending on how you look at it, as states before the Constitution. And then it was even a few years later, 1788, 1789, when the Bill of Rights was ratified. So they were states. That's why it's called the United States, because the states were independent. Each state is its own sovereign, has its own lawmaking ability. They can write their own laws. They decided, you know what? We'll be better if we band together. So it's a dual sovereign system. Sovereign system. Dual sovereign. The state is a sovereign. The United States is a sovereign. And they made an agreement in the Constitution saying this sovereign has exclusive purview over these things, like the coining of money, the raising of an army, the stuff like, treaties, going back to the last video. The other sovereign, the states, can do anything that hasn't been given to the federal sovereign. So, and the 10th Amendment, which he always ignores, the Bill of Rights are 1 through 8, and then there's 11 through 27, but 9 and 10 just do not exist in his world. But the 10th Amendment recognized, hey, the states are sovereign, and they get, that they didn't give up all of their sovereignty to form the United States. Now, Texas is a unique case. It was its own sovereign, the Republic of Texas, before it joined the United States. Utah was Utah Territory. Before that, it was Deseret Territory. Before that, it was Mexico. The United States conquered in the Mexican-American War. So, the Mormons settled in Mexico, and within a couple years, it became the United States. But, this guy he drives me into ranting to the point I forget what my original point was. So,
They were never called states in the beginning.
They were called colonies, but before the Constitution, they were states.
Called colonies. There was 13 colonies, 13 in the south, 13 in the north.
No, that would be 26 colonies. Besides which, there was no divide north or south colonies. They were the 13 colonies that broke off from the United Kingdom. The Civil War, and by then they were all states. They were states for, what was it Abraham Lincoln said, 87 years, 87 years. Wow.
And then when the North went to war with the South to take the land, the cotton, and other things, tobacco and whatever else, that's what they went to war for. They didn't go to war over slavery. They went to war over taxation.
He's a lost cause revisionist.
And land grabs and and grabbing people's property. You know,
And do you know what that property was that they went toward to grab? People. People were property. People. They didn't confiscate the plantations. They confiscated the means of production, which in that case was people. People. And, you know, here in Utah and the West in general, you know, there's a lot of people that still rattle their sabers, not about the Civil War, but about, you know, in the West, the federal government, depending on the state, owns between like 30 and 70-ish% of the land. I think Nevada is the most. Utah is right around 50-ish%. And people, especially politicians, rattle their sabers, you know, we need to take our land back. And it was never Utah's land. Never Utah's land. The United States government, like I said a minute ago, acquired it, sovereign to sovereign, from Mexico. Mexico owned it, and then the United States owned it. And when Utah became a state in 1898, they said in the Utah State Enabling Act, we forever disclaim the lands owned by the federal government. But the federal government, for 80 more years after that, tried to give it away. The Homestead Acts, from like the 1850s all the way to, I believe, the last Homestead Act ended in the 1970s. They tried to give the land away. But they could only give away the land that was easily farmed, which is, you know, spectacularly lucky, because the hard land to farm ended up being great for national parks. And, you know, the beautiful land was the hardest to settle. So that's, you know, and then there's desert, you know, the West Desert out in, you know, Delta Utah. That's oof.
their farms and stuff, and take control like they're doing now. Joe Biden's 30 bill or plan. 30 by 30 land grab, 30 by 30 land grab. You know, that's what they're doing. They're taking.
No. The federal government already owns the land. They're just trying to preserve it. Basically, you know, if I believe there's mechanisms to encourage private land to conserve their land, or states to conserve their land. I'm not a politics channel. Just this guy's a more.
They're taking it. You own nothing. You trolls and you haters, you will own.
But let's sorry for stopping so soon. I know there's going to be people in the comments yelling, "You talk too much, shut up and play the video." Well, I'm a commentary channel, not a politics channel. But his amendments 1 through 8, the only ones that matter, the Fifth Amendment, I believe, is where it is. No, basically, the government shall not take property without due compensation, blah, blah, blah. I can't remember the exact wording of it, but it's the takings clause. The government must provide compensation if it takes property from you. So right there in the Fifth Amendment, which is one of the only 5 laws that you think exists, or the only 5 laws that matter, well, eminent domain is constitutional under the Fifth Amendment, as long as you're paid just compensation. So, you know, if the federal government says, know, it's imperative to national security that this piece of property is conserved, and we will pay you for it, but we are taking it. Sucks for you. It really does. I don't deny it, but it's legal. And the takings clause, it's a lot more aggressive than that. It's I in law school we learned about can't remember exactly the case, but it was the property owner was trying to develop his property, and the local government, it applies to local governments too, basically was going to require a lot more out of them to preserve the drainage locally, and the federal court said, well, yeah, that's diminishing the value, the commercial value of their property, so you've got to compensate them for that. If I remember right, it's been a while. Like if a if a national guard helicopter cruises onto your field and burns 10 bushels worth of corn, the government has taken 10 bushels of corn and has to compensate you because that's a taking. Although that might be tort law, not taking. But if they land to rescue someone, that's a taking. Maybe de minimis, but you know.
Won't get to own your vehicle. You won't get to own the unit you're living in. You won't get to own anything. You may not even get to own bicycles. They're going to take away all of our freedom of movement by God, and put it under evil, which is of the devil. They're taking away all of our God-given rights because of trolls and haters like you all that want to worship government.
If let me get this straight. Because of trolls like you and me, the government is going to take away our heavenly modes of transportation and will only have devilish transportation. Does that mean that we're all going to be driving Lamborghini Diablos? Sounds good to me. Sign me up.
And they're street soldiers. Look up what the Nazi street soldiers did to the Jews and their own people. They did it to their own people too. Look it up. Look up the wars in Germany on the Jews, how they treated them. There's videos of it where they're shooting them in the back of the head, shooting them left and right.
But was it over unlicensed driving? I mean, my Oma grew up in Germany. She was 16 when the war ended. I never heard of her not being able to ride her bicycle. They didn't have, well, I think they had a car before the war, but they didn't have a car during the war.
Willy-nilly, out of control. They're all psychopaths. That's who wants in control and to control other people. Those are psychopaths. They love control.
Okay. Wow. My brain is trying to catch up. And do you know what I didn't hear in that whole video? I didn't hear a single word about him needing to get his truck out of impound, other than, they're gonna take your trucks away, that, they're gonna take all your property away. But I didn't hear, my truck is going to be auctioned off by the impound lot in 2 days if I don't raise money and pay the fines. And not a single word about that. So yeah, but that was interesting. But with that, I'm gonna leave you guys there. As I've mentioned a couple times, I'm gonna start doing finance videos. Uh, if you're interested in participating in that, I'll, do. I want to do fairly regularly, sort of financial reviews. Haven't fully finalized what that's going to look like, but um, I need volunteers to, hopefully you'll get value out of it. But if you're interested, email me and let's start getting something set up. But either way, like, share, subscribe, do all the YouTubey things, and I will see you soon for the next one. Bye bye.